So this morning, I thought I would go ahead and make a little, make a video. I don't know if it's gonna be little. I'll try to make it not so long, but I decided it would be a good time to show you guys around the yard and show you the trees. It's spring and we are in April, 18, 19, middle of April, and a lot of the trees are already fruiting, and like this apricot, it already has green fruit, and yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the backyard. Couple things. You probably, if you've seen some of my other videos, you've noticed that the backyard has changed because we used to have a wooden privacy fence, and we decided to go ahead and replace it with a cinder block, something more private, so that we can have more privacy in our backyard, because we do spend a lot of time back here. I know I spend a lot of time back here, and I wanted more privacy. The wooden fence did its job for a couple of years, but it was starting to get old, and the paint was starting to get really ugly, and so it needed a paint job. And over time, like, it shrunk, and there was these gaps, and I felt like it wasn't provided enough privacy, so we replaced the wooden fence with cinder block. Another thing is, if you've noticed, there's wood chips. We have wood chips in the backyard instead of grass. We still have grass. It's a process. The grass is going to just start to die back. I didn't put cardboard boxes to like kill the grass, and then a lot of people do like a cardboard box first, and then the wood chips on top to like help kill the grass. I just did the wood chips directly on top of the grass, so I am gonna get some grass coming through the wood chips, but over time it'll die off, and as you add more wood chips, it'll die faster. I didn't have enough wood chips, so it's a thin layer, and that's why I'm getting a lot of stuff coming through, but it's a process. So we just started. We had a truckload of wood chips delivered, and it wasn't enough, so we need more, but it's a process, so over time we'll get there. But we wanted to save on water. We decided we were using way too much water on the lawn, and yes, it was really pretty and aesthetically pleasing, but it wasn't really doing anything else other than like just using up all this water that I can be using towards growing more food. And the wood chips also help the soil fertility as time goes on, and the wood chips break down, like the earthworms love it because they like all of that decomposing matter, and when they start to break down, the worms will eat it, and then they'll poop, and you'll get some really good fertilizer, worm castings, and we have tons of worms, and so I'm sure they're breaking down the soil, aerating the soil, because we do have really hard native desert soil. We live in the high desert, so the wood chips are going to help the trees and just help the garden grow. As far as the grass coming through, that's just a matter of time before it starts to die off. So I need to get more wood chips. I do have a lot of wood. Like, I have a pile of wood here that I can chip myself, so I'm thinking of buying my own little wood chipper, so I can chip my own, because I do prune like these trees like every year. to maintain the size on them, and I do get a lot of wood, and I can provide a lot of my own mulch, like a lot of my own wood chips and mulch. I can create my own because now I have mature trees. So I think I'm going to invest in a wood chipper, and hopefully I can get other deliveries. I know a lot of like tree pruning companies deliver their trimmings for free. That we got one for free, but it wasn't enough. We have a pretty big area, so so the wall is different. We changed the wall. We got rid of the wooden fence and we did the cinder block. Another thing, we took an area of our house that we weren't using really. It was, we are in a corner lot, and we had chain link fencing in the front part of the house, but we had a front yard and a side yard. And the front and side yard we never really utilized because it wasn't really private. So we didn't really felt comfortable like spending time out there with the kids, or just spending time outdoors, because it wasn't private, and I just felt like everybody was looking at us, or like we're on display for everybody to see what we were doing. So it just didn't feel comfortable to me. So what we did was we took the side yard and we added the side yard to our backyard. So the side yard became our backyard. So this used to be the side yard that was not utilized really. This whole area used to be the side yard that was not utilized, and now we can utilize this area. We did a big concrete slab, and I do have an area like 10 feet from the slab to the wall, 10 feet by like 50 feet long of new growing space. So this is like new growing space, 10 feet wide by 50 feet long of new growing space. So I now have more space to grow, and my kids have like this nice big slab to play basketball and just spend time outdoors. But it's now private because of the wall. A lot more private. So we added this area, and we replaced the wooden fence with cinder block just to get more privacy, and it's more permanent and it's less maintenance. The wooden fence we had to replace some of the planks, we had to paint it. It was just a lot of maintenance on that wooden fence, and I didn't want to have to go through that. And so, and those are the changes pretty much. We have wood chips, and we have a new cinder block wall, and we added this area to the backyard. So now that I've talked way too long, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the trees and see what they look like right now in spring. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna walk around and show you the garden. So let's see, let's start with this new area, this new section. Actually, let's start over there and then we'll end over here. So this is the old porch. This was already here. So let's go back here. This is my backyard, like the original part where I started growing first. So that is the pomegranate, and this is what it looks like in like early spring. Let me show you a closer look, and it's got lots of new growth, and I noticed a bloom starting to form. If you can see that, whoops, my head was casting a shadow, but there's a bloom there, and then there's another little bloom. I don't know if that's showing on camera, but there's another little bloom there. And those are the only two that I've noticed so far, but it's really early, and it's a really good sign. Last year I didn't get blooms till much later, like sometime in like late April, early May, and we already have blooms, so that's a really good sign. This thing is going to be covered in blooms in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be really pretty. They're like red orange color, and you know, then they follow by these beautiful pomegranates once they get pollinated. So so we're in the corner of my backyard, and we're still working. We still have a mess. I've been cleaning, but we're gonna put a gate there. I'm just using those dog crates to keep the dogs from going in that area, because we had some concrete work over in that by the door. That's a new door we got installed, but we had some concrete and I didn't want the dogs like stepping in fresh concrete. So, but we're gonna put a gate there, and that's gonna be like a dog run for them. They normally have, they pretty much like 100% of the time they have like complete run of the house, of the backyard, the whole entire backyard, which is, you know, pretty big for them. But when we have our family over, or some sort of gathering, we want the dogs, we can put the dogs here in a safe place, so they don't, you know, bother people when they're trying to socialize and stuff like that. So this is just for, okay, mamas. Ask Papa. Ask Papa. Papa's inside. So yeah. So anyways, back to the trees. So yeah. So here's the blooms of the pomegranate, and then I'll show you guys that's the peach tree. That's what the peach tree looks like right now. It's got a nice canopy. I did prune this a lot. I did prune this a lot. I don't want it to be too tall, so because then I can't reach the fruit. Even last year I had to get on the ladder, and even this year I might have to get on the ladder. But for the most part, I can reach almost, you know, everything's at you know, my arm's length. But we have a lot of fruit set on this already. I've already thinned a lot of the fruit off, because if I don't, I learned that the branches will break, and I learned that the hard way last year. I had a branch break. See, like this branch has way too many, so I had to thin that out. But this tree's so pretty. It's got a really nice canopy going on. Just really, really, really pretty. Let me show you guys what it looks like, the canopy from down here. There's the tree. There's the canopy. Show you guys the fruit. Oh, my puppies think I'm gonna play with them. But there's the fruit. And I must have taken like 100 off already of this tree. But look, like this little tiny branch has 3, and it's just a tiny little branch. So I should leave 1 and take those other 2 off. But see how tiny the branch is? It's like an inch long, and it has got 3 peaches. So that might break. So that's how, you know, I would pretty much like take this one off, and then this one off, and just leave 1. See? I don't know if you can see that, but I left 1 because that little branch, you know, poor little thing. And you'll get bigger fruit, just larger fruit, and you won't damage the tree. It won't break. See, like this little branch, I left 1. There's a tiny little branch here. It's got a second peach, but this one's coming off because we don't need that. That little branch can hold 1, but it's covered in peaches, and I must have taken like, I said 100, maybe 50 to 100, and I still have to go through this and thin it a lot more. Like this branch here, I don't know if it's showing, but it's got way too many in there. I took everything off this branch, the tip. Didn't want it going past the wall, the fence. So there's no, if there's fruit over there and it falls behind the wall, then I can't get to it. So there's no need for me to have fruit over there and the branch to break. Let me show you what the tree looks like from this angle. It's got this beautiful shape. I don't know if if it'll show. Let's see. It reminds me of like a martini glass shape, the way I pruned it. Just nice umbrella shape. So here's the plum, and it already has fruit. The sun is rising, it's morning, so I have to find good lighting. But there's plums everywhere. Some of them, fall off, like these little ones, just they won't make it. But we have a lot of fruit, and last year was a really good year for it was the very first year that I got a nice harvest of plums. This year I'm hoping it'll be the same. But yeah, we have a lot of plums. Lots of little plums everywhere. See, these are getting good size to them. Look at these two here. Let's see if it shows on camera really well. Those 2, 3, 4, they're everywhere. Everywhere you look at the tree, there's plums. These are maturing. These are not. All these little yellow ones are just not gonna make it. They're just gonna fall off. And I've had the tree sometimes just completely drop all its fruit. So last year was the year where it really was holding on to its fruit. And see, and these are all, down where I can just reach. That's why I don't have the tree be too tall. Like I have the tree trunk maybe 4 to 3 feet tall. No, like 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet. And then that's where the branches start to come out, so that I can have, all the fruit down here. And I do want it to have some height, but I don't want it to be too tall where I can't reach. So that's really up high in the tree, the birds can have. But so we do have a good amount of plums, but let's hope it keeps it. It doesn't get stressed out and then drops them, because I've had that happen before. But last year was wonderful for the plums. My very first plum harvest, like a really good harvest of plums. But look in here, there's just so many plums. So many plums, and this is so good. This became my new favorite tree. It used to be the peach tree, but the plums just taste so good. So it's my new favorite. Just please hold on to the fruit. Don't drop it. Okay. And this year we have a lot of seedlings just pop up. So this is a seedling, and this is a seedling apricot I'm gonna grow out. If it's good, I'll keep it. If it fruits and it's not as good quality, I will graft it over and use it as rootstock, or I can just, take it out. But I probably will just graft it over and use it as a rootstock if it's not like a good eating apricot. Seedlings, you never really know what you're gonna get, because it could be a hybrid, or the fruit can just be not as good as the known varieties, because normally when you, like these trees that I have are grafted onto their known varieties, and they take a branch and graft it onto some rootstock, so that you always have consistent quality in the fruit. So all of the fruit, all of the Santa Rosa plums, for example, they all taste the same, and you get a consistent fruit, because they take branches and then they graft onto some sort of rootstock. But when you're growing from seed, you don't really know what you're gonna get. It could be a hybrid. They can cross-pollinate. So this can be some sort of apricot plum hybrid. So it's kind of interesting, and I'm kind of excited to see what I get, and if it tastes good. And we had so many, because I eat the fruit and I just throw the pits. And they sprout. So I have lots of seedlings, but I'm keeping 2, and the rest I'm pulling out. And so here we have a Paw Paw. I'm trying to grow a Paw Paw for my partner. He loves Paw Paws, and he purchased this one, and I'm trying to grow it out. But It's starting to leaf out. It's a tiny little thing. So I don't know if it's showing the little leaves. It's very small. I'm using a lot of chicken wire because the puppies, they want to chew on everything. Pretty much the only thing that they won't chew on is metal. But they want to chew on everything. Plastic, like forget it. I don't have any containers, too many container stuff growing in the backyard. I moved them to the front because anything in the container they will tear up. And here is the Jujube starting to leaf out and come out of dormancy and just waking up. We're getting new branches. This thing is thorny, very thorny, so I have to watch out. It's very prickly. But yep, you're getting a lot of branches, new branches coming out. Let's see. The Jujube, and this is the Lee, I believe, the Lee variety. It's a very good tree, very reliable. It always sets a really good crop of fruit, and they taste really good. They're like little apples. So here's the Jujube starting to wake up. And in a couple of weeks or months, this thing's gonna look beautiful. And it's getting pretty tall. So, look at the pups. They're so cute. We rescued the shepherd, the black shepherd mix, and the little pit bull that looked like a little cow, little brindle. We got from a neighbor. Hey! And the red cattle dog we purchased. Our older dogs passed away, so we wanted to have dogs. We love dogs. So here's the apricot tree, nice and big, and these would be a lot bigger, but I pruned them. So that's what it looks like right now. It's one of the first ones to wake up, so that's why it's got a lot of leaves already, whereas some of the other trees don't even have leaves yet. Like, they're still sleeping. Like, they're just barely starting to wake up. This one's already leafed out, you know, and it's already set fruit. See, this little tiny twig has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think it had like 20 or more, and I already thinned it, but I think I'm gonna thin it out some more and maybe leave 3 and take 3 out because it's very small. But you know, you can lose branches like that. Like, look at this one, it looks like grapes. I don't know how many's on there, but way too many for this little tiny twig. It's gonna be like, once they're ripe, you know, and if you don't thin it, like, you'll get really small fruit and like really bad. Like, see, there's another cluster here, this little branch. We need to take a lot of this off and leave like 3 or maybe 4, you know, it just depends. But we have a lot of fruit set on. We have a lot of apricots. I did remove like 2 big branches, like one here and one here, because I wanted to make some space for to grow some other stuff in between. I didn't show you guys these 2. This is a seedling. Same thing as the apricot seedling. I found this growing in the yard, and I'm gonna try to grow it out. But this is a peach, and you can tell because of the leaf. It's got a longer, skinnier leaf, as for the other one, it has a more rounded shape. So I know that is an apricot seedling because of the leaf pattern. So, you know, they're seedlings, but they could be hybrids, like I said. So here's a seedling, peach seedling of some sort. And then we have, in this cage where the dogs are playing, we have a tiger fig. And I don't know if this is going to wake up soon, but I noticed that it has a little bud starting to swell. So it's probably going to be okay. Number 1. Hi, Forrest. and that's Tara over there. So it's probably going to be okay. It's just still sleeping, but I'm protecting them because, you know, a little twig like that can be eaten by the dogs in a second. And here we have another fig in here, still sleeping, I hope. But that's the reason why I took one of those branches off, so that this fig tree can grow in here, in between this apricot and this Fuyu Persimmon. So yeah, let me show you what the tree looks like now. If I back up, I love the birds in the morning. It just sounds so pretty, so relaxing. That's what the tree looks like. So, you know, in between this tree and that tree, which is the Fuyu Persimmon, I'm growing a fig. Hopefully it comes back. That's why I took a branch that was there. It was coming out to here. I wanted to give some more light so that they can share. But yeah, so let me show you guys the Fuyu Persimmon. I've never had persimmons. I've had persimmons on it, but it always drops them. And I've had like, you know, a couple, maybe the most I've had was like 3 or 4. But it always drops them. So we'll see. Here is the new growth. It's just starting to leaf out. And so it's just waking up. It's got tons of little new buds, you know, starting to swell, and they're starting to branch out. So, and it's everywhere. You see all the little green little shoots coming, you know, even down here in the main trunk. So this thing is awake, it's alive. It's got this really cool bark, like really scaly. It looks like alligator or crocodile. It reminds me of crocodile alligator skin. But it's still, you know, it's still pretty small. It's one of my slower growing trees. And so yeah, see, we still have a mess. We still have to clean up. We're still cleaning. And here's a shot from this corner. That's pretty much like the new addition over there. And this, my big pine tree in the front yard. So this used to be side yard, and that's just a busy street. So that's why we just never really used this side yard, because we didn't have a privacy fence. But now we do. That's why you can hear the cars. And, you know, I want to get a wood chipper to chip that. And let me show you guys. This is my seedling. This is my loquat. This had to be relocated, so I hope it does well. I hope it's okay. It's not too shocked, and I hope it just takes off, because I really need a nice big tree in this corner of the yard. And this is grown from seed, so I've been really patient. It's done really well. Hopefully it likes this spot, because I'm not planning on I'm not planning to transplant it anymore. This should be its permanent place. And you know, the chicken wire is the new pups. But the parent of this one, well, the seed, the fruit that I had was a gold nugget. And you know, but then again, it could be crossed with something else. You never know. From seed, you never know what you're gonna get. But here we have that. And then I managed to save this climbing rose. It's got little roses right now. It was a really big, I had to prune it way back. I had to dig it out and relocate it to here. So I kind of just wanted to climb up the side of the doghouse and like drape over the doghouse and just cover it in like beautiful yellow flowers. And I know it will. It's a fast grower, and as long as it likes the new location, it will cover this doghouse, and it's gonna just drape and be really pretty. In a couple years, maybe. And here we have a apple tree, and this is starting to leaf out. No blooms yet, but this is I always forget, Arkansas black? I think it's Arkansas black, something black. I think it's the Arkansas black, you guys, but I might be saying that name wrong. I always forget the name of the variety. It's like a really dark apple, and it needs a pollinator. It's not self-fertile. So, with the chicken wire. So I purchased the crab apple to pollinate it. It's right here. And here we have the crab apple, and this is the Whitney Crabapple. The Whitney Crabapple. So it's going to be really beautiful, and I hear the fruit is edible. Like it's a little bit larger in size, and the taste tastes really good. Or I don't know. I've never really had a crab apple. I hear some of them are really bad, like they just don't taste really good. So I think these are some improved varieties that taste good for fresh eating and for anything baking. So I kept this door. This is one of my old doors. I'm thinking of growing some veggies on there, like something that needs something to climb on, maybe like some cucumber or something. But I don't know if my dogs are gonna let me grow vegetables. I think they would eat it as soon as it starts to sprout. I don't know. But I also have the beds I can grow vegetables in. I haven't done that in a while. I prefer to grow the fruit, but I like to grow anything really. But I just worry that the dogs are going to eat all my little really anything that I grow in there, because they can kind of reach and they'll just pull it out and eat it. So I'm worried that I'm gonna have to do a lot of work, and then the dogs are gonna destroy it in a few minutes. So I don't know, I'm thinking about it. I mean, they're pretty peaceful. They're not too destructive, but they did start chewing on some of the trunks of the trees, so that's why I'm doing the chicken wire. So I know they can be destructive if they want to be, but right now they're just hanging out. And here we have a what is this? This is my quince tree. I'm sorry, my quince tree. It woke up early, so it's leafed out, and it's got blooms. Some of them are already like starting to die, the blooms, because they've already been fertilized, and they've already set. It already has fruit set. The fruit is set, but it's got way too much fruit. I really wanted to focus on growing so that I can get more of a bigger tree. I really wanted to focus on growing nice and big and getting a nice canopy going. I don't want it to focus so much on fruit production. This I got from a neighbor, from a cutting. We grew this from a cutting. So yeah, they're really easy to root from cuttings. And I'll show you the fruit. You see the little quince? There's the flower already dying. It got pollinated. And there's the fruit. And so you usually start with a bloom like this. And the blooms are normally pink. And then they open. Here's another stage. They start to open. And then they go to like white once they've been pollinated. See? They go to white, and then they start to die off. The petals start to die off. The petals start to die, and see, and then you have the little fruit, the little quince fruit start to grow once the petals die off. You see the little fruit right there, and that'll just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they'll be like the size of apples. And you can use them in baking or for fresh eating. They're just really good. So we have that, and then here we have a cherry tree. It's a sour cherry, but look, see, it's still sleeping. So some of them wake up early, some of them wake up late. We did relocate this tree, so I hope it's gonna do well here, and this should be its final spot. I've been known to like dig up trees and relocate them but look, it's starting to wake up. So it's gonna be okay. Let me see. It's alive. It's starting to wake up. If you can see the little green tips. The little green, once you start to see green, then you know it's okay. It's just starting to wake up, and this is a sour cherry. It's really, really pretty. So I think it's gonna do really well. You see all the buds, they're starting to swell. It's just starting to wake. I don't know what it's focusing on. I hope it's focusing on the branch. It's really pretty. It's got a really pretty color. Cherry trees have really pretty bark. It's like this red with speckles, and yeah, so it's alive. See? So it's waking up. There's the yard. So that's like the more mature part of the yard. The trees are a lot bigger. They got planted several years ago, and then this new section, you know, they're a lot younger, so we're doing the chicken wire to protect them till they get established. So there'll be younger trees over here, and I'll show you guys. This is a plum tree, and I did relocate this, so it's a little stress. It didn't like to be moved, so I hope it recovers and it does well and the roots get established. But it's not looking so good, but it's alive. So I think it's just a little shocked because I did have to uproot it and relocate it because I really needed a tree here in this corner of the yard. This little corner here. So, I'll show you. It did set fruit and then I moved it, you guys, so. But it's alive. I don't really care so much for fruit production right now at this stage. I just want it to grow. So I just really want this to grow right now. And this is my, it's a yellow plum. It's called, it's the Shiro variety. Shiro. And so it's a yellow plum. And here we have my other seedling. This area is more shaded, but it does get sun. It just gets sun later during the day, not early morning. But yeah, I still have a mess. See, like I have more wood I can chip because I had to cut a branch from the pine tree that was trying to grow on top of my house, and I didn't want that. So I cut it, and then I can chip it. I just need to get that wood chipper. Here's my puppy. He's a little brindle pit, and there's Forrest, my other puppy. And Tara, she's almost an adult. I think she's an adult in May. She's a rescue, so I don't really know exactly her age. But here's the Loquat. And I had to relocate. I had to like uproot it, same as these. So these two are a little stressed. You know, they're still getting established. I did chicken wire so the dogs will leave them alone as far as the trunk goes. But I hope it starts to put on new growth. It'll start from the tips. It'll get less sun burn because I mean I've had it get sunburn before because we get really hot in the summer, like 102, 105 temperatures. It's a really pretty tree. It's a little shocked right now, but it'll be a nice tree for this corner of my yard. It's an evergreen, so that's another good thing. So there it is, and there's the plum. So it gets more sun here. You can see the shadow. So this corner is more shaded, but then as the sun moves, like this area will get sun later. It just gets it later. The plum, and that's it, you guys. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So this all used to be side yard, but we had no wall, so you know people would walk by and people would drive by, and I just didn't feel comfortable. So that's what the yard looks like now. All right, you guys, it's going to be a long video. All right, so that's what the yard looks like in spring, and in a couple of weeks, as the months go by, weeks, months, the yard is gonna look better. The trees will be bigger. Bye, I'll talk to you later.